Rico.
Hi, I'm Lindsay.
This is the game plan, and we're here to talk about our top 5 games of all time. This is the first time that we've ever done anything like this.
Yep.
So what we're going to do here is we've each put together our top 5 lists, but then each of us has put together what we think the other's top 5 is, and in the order that we think it is in. At the end, we're going to decide who got the best, the most points and who wins this one. We've never done anything like this before, so we might know each other really well, or we could be out in left field.
I have a feeling he's going to do really well, and I'm going to be quite mediocre.
I have the same feeling. I'm going to do really well.
Yeah.
We'll see.
It's just how it is.
So we've put the lists together on our phones, and we're not gonna spoil anything. So if I had picked a certain game for her, say number 5, and she reveals that it's not that game, I'm not gonna say, oh darn, it's this game, because that might give away what she has later. So we'll keep that to the end. Yeah, you ready to do this?
Yep.
Okay. So starting with my number 5, Great Western Trail.
Okay. I did not get that correct.
You did not get that correct. Okay. And what was yours?
My number 5 is Barren Park.
Okay, I didn't get that correct, but that was close because I wanted to put that in that spot, and I should have. Anyways,
I mean, clearly.
So Barren Park, yeah, that one's fun. That's a game that we've had a lot of success introducing people to gaming with it.
Yeah, it's a great gateway game.
It's got the little polyominoes pieces, and you kind of put them down and try and create your bear park as best you can with given certain objectives that everybody's trying to meet. So a certain number of these particular type of bears in your park, or a road that stretches for so long, things like that.
And it's also really cute. So that's kind of a hook, but then the game stands on its own. It's a really good game.
Yeah, it is. And Great Western Trail is...
it's magnificent.
It is a magnificent game. I suspect it might be somewhere on your list. Maybe. It's a little heavier. It does take a little more time. It was a little thinky, and it's not uncommon for people to struggle through their first game to really just get a feel for what kind of strategy you're trying to build. I mean, understanding what you're supposed to do, maybe people can usually pick it up after a couple of rounds. But
it's really intuitive. Once you understand the mechanics of it, it flows really well.
Right.
But it takes a while to explain every single thing that goes on during the game.
Yeah.
Rico actually taught somebody last night, and it went really well.
Yeah. It's just one of those that, okay, I understand what I'm supposed to do, but I'm not entirely sure right now how I'm supposed to put that all together to do well.
It takes a couple plays to get a strategy going.
But man, once you get in that zone and you feel like, yes, I understand what I'm doing, and I'm building towards what I'm building, and every single round in the game you're ideally getting just a little bit better than you were the last time around, it just feels so satisfying to be like, yes, my cows are so nice.
And when you get that perfect hand of cows, it's just the best feeling. It's so great. So that's really fun to do.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so there's our number 5, and so our scores are 0 to 0.
Okay,
and I guess I probably won't be surprised if we end that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so our number 4.
Your number 4.
Don't look.
I'm not looking, but I could if I wanted to.
Okay. My number 4 is Power Grid.
Dang. I had that as a possibility, but I didn't put it on the list.
That's a shame.
It is a shame, isn't it?
Yeah.
I have a feeling I made a mistake in one of them, but anyway. I do have proof that I thought about it, though.
Okay. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is Dinosaur Island.
Oh, wow. Okay. That is a great game.
It's a newer one, and I want to play it a lot. I'm not super good at it yet. I did win one game, but that was because one guy made a huge mistake, and he would have won. Or we didn't explain the rules correctly, or we didn't know the rules well enough.
Yeah, I think that was it.
I've won one game of that, but it's so fun. It's basically Jurassic Park in a box, but they couldn't call it that. They had to call it Dinosaur Island. But you're building a theme park of dinosaurs, and you have a threat level that you're trying to mitigate, and you have security. You can create DNA to make new dinosaurs, and it's just a lot of fun.
Hooligans.
And then you let people into your park, but if you draw from a bag, you draw so many. But if you draw hooligans, which are a different color, they get into your park first, they don't pay to get in, and they don't get eaten first. So they're a big problem. There's not very many of them in the bag, but sometimes you draw really, really badly. So.
I'm quite sure I've never won that game. And what she was referring to is we had been teaching some people the game, and this happens from time to time when you're explaining a game, and it was fairly new to us at the time as well. But the part at the end of the game, for every dinosaur paddock that you've built that you haven't filled, ouch, we didn't realize that was negative
10
points. So there was a guy who was doing fantastic, but he had left over at least one, a couple maybe.
I think it was 2.
And, he just didn't add that into his strategy, but he would have just walked away had he worked on that.
I have an asterisk victory on Dinosaur Island. So. But it's such a fun game.
It really is. It's a great one.
We didn't talk about Power Grid.
Power Grid. Power Grid is actually one of the games that was introduced to me early on when I was getting into the modern board game hobby. At the time, it was a little too much. Not really like, I would say, thinky or too hard of like the rules or mechanics were too difficult. It was just very long, and the people that I was being introduced to it by were very, big gamers. They obviously had hundreds of plays of different games under their belt, and I was sitting at 3. So it was like, I was way out of my element. I was way out of my league. They kind of romped all over me just because I didn't understand how to put these types of things together to create strategies and games at that point in my gaming life. So it was a bit unsettling, and it took me a few years to get back to it. And it's not that I disliked the game at that time, but it was just definitely one of those, wow, this one isn't for me right now.
Yeah, and it can look intimidating to begin with because it's not very pretty.
Yeah, it's a classic Euro look, kind of plain looking, drab.
But it's really fun if you can get into it. Don't be intimidated by the looks.
And it's got loads of expansions.
Yeah.
And they're you start with America and Germany on a map that's double-sided, but then the expansions introduce another board, so like, France or Italy or Brazil, whatever. But then each expansion comes with a slightly modified rule set, and they're just slightly modified. So like the commodities that you're dealing with might be more abundant or less abundant. And just very, very minor tweaks to the way that the commodities go out, and then the map itself, the way that they've built the city routes. Those two combinations make for a surprising amount of
really
change,
different game.
So I love that game.
Yeah. Okay, number 3.
All right.
What is your number 3?
So my number 3 is Puerto Rico.
I got it right.
Oh.
Yay.
Oh no. Okay.
Yep. I'm 1, you're 0.
This is okay.
So my number 3 is Orleans.
Okay, I'm doing very poorly. Apparently,
That's not how I thought this was going to go.
I don't know her as well as I thought I did. Okay, great. So Orleans.
Yeah.
Fantastic game. I highly
Bag building.
agree. Yeah, it's a bag building, which for all if you boil it down to the mechanic, it's essentially deck building.
Deck building. Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's not deck building. It's bag building is not deck building, and that's the one thing everyone's always comparing Altiplano to Orleans, and Altiplano does deck building, and they call it bag building, but it's deck building because you're exhausting your entire bag before you refill. That's essentially exhausting your deck before you shuffle again.
In Orleans, everything goes back in every time.
Every round, right? So it's far more. How would you describe that? That feeling of. You can play the odds.
Yeah. I mean, you could have 5 farmers in there, and you could draw 5 farmers every time, and you can't use 5 farmers every time. So it's a little punishing sometimes in that way.
Yeah.
But it's so much fun.
Yeah, and I guess I've never had that is the problem. You could draw poorly, but the options that you have on the board, especially with the trade expansion, mitigate so much of that bad luck. Like you think, oh my goodness, there's no way I could use all these farmers, say. But if you really just start looking around, you know what? Yeah, you probably can use quite a bit of them, and you can always, leave them for the next round.
Yeah, and there are times when I've gotten a really poor draw and stuff, but I still have fun playing it. Even if I'm not winning, it's still just a fun game to play, I think.
Yeah, I really like
Which is a good game to me.
Yeah. Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
This is another game that I was introduced to fairly early on into gaming, and it just kind of tickled the right part of my brain as far as what I'm trying to do and trying to strategize. I love what I call the follow the leader, where one person takes an action as the primary action, but then everyone else gets to follow on that action somehow. I think this is being introduced to more and more games, at least the concept of keeping other players involved on everyone's turn. I think Puerto Rico has done that fantastically well. It's very streamlined. I think it's one of those it's so balanced. I think they've done computer simulations on it, and they're looking like the player order, how much it varies if you play optimally, all this kind of stuff, and it's just crazy balanced for all that. I am nowhere good enough that would matter.
Yeah.
But I just love the idea that I get to wait in anticipation of what someone chooses to do, because now I get to try and figure out how I can optimize my gameplay, knowing that I get to follow along with what they just did. So you get, all these follows before your next turn, and you're just like...
And you're just hoping that they don't pick what you want, because you get a bonus if you're the first one to do it. So if you need that bonus to do what your plan is, and you're just anticipating what they're going to do, and it's just really fun.
Yeah,
it's exciting.
I love
and
it.
I like just being involved in everybody else's turn and stuff.
Another hit on this one, though, is it's not very pretty.
Oh, yeah. But they've got an upgraded one that I don't like as much.
Yeah, that's the thing, is I was just going to mention that. So there's a lot of in general gaming, there's a lot of peripheral pieces that you can buy, upgrades for making your game look more attractive or just more appealing, production value, table presence. And in my opinion, everything I've seen for Puerto Rico doesn't look good. And in many cases, I think it looks worse than the standard, just brown and gray cubes. I just think they're just ugly.
I've never thought that it was an unattractive game. It's brightly colored.
Yeah.
I guess it's just kind of simple.
It is.
Simply.
It's older too, right?
It's art is simple.
Yeah, it's over it's 2004, I think. So I mean, it's over a dozen years old.
It like crazy.
So I don't think you'll find anything in that time frame that's remarkably looking. But
no, I like the original.
Yeah, same.
Okay, what's your number 2?
Okay. Oh man, I'm doing so poorly with you. Okay, so mine, you're gonna win. I know you're gonna win. So my number 2. Wait. Yeah, is Energy Empire. So the Manhattan Project Energy Empire.
No, I was wrong on that.
Oh, okay, good. I'm still gonna lose. Yeah. So what's yours?
My number 2?
Yeah.
Great Western Trail.
I'm wrong.
Okay. Yeah, I knew I was going to be wrong on your number 2 as well.
Okay, sweet. So
I think I'm going to win though, because I'm going to get your number.
Yeah, that's what I said. You're guaranteed to win.
So, yeah.
I'm probably going to get your number 1.
Yeah.
But you know mine.
Yeah.
So we've already kind of discussed Energy Empire, or sorry, Great Western Trail.
Yeah.
I really have nothing more to say on it.
Good.
Energy Empire is it's a worker placement game. It was one that we had picked up very early on into our discovery of the concept of Kickstarter. Love-hate relationship on that one.
Don't go crazy on Kickstarter.
Yeah, especially until you figure out what you really like, because you'll get a whole lot of shit games.
Yeah. But this one was one that really taught us kind of what we liked, and it helped us.
That was the silver lining of that first year of horror games. Just one after another coming and realizing this is total garbage.
Yeah.
I guess I should have thought about when they said that they had their kid help them design the game. I just didn't know. I thought that was just regular thing, So this one was, we had a plethora of crap games, and this one came, and we're like, we opened it up and we played it, and it was just like,
yeah, it was kind of amazing.
It was great.
Yeah. Even though we did a couple things wrong.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
And worker placement game, it's a very interesting flow to the game, because in the game with worker placement, there's a lot of times where you're going to have to collect up your workers, and what happens in this game is the progress that each person is making may be different, and so you get out of sync as far as when you're resetting and when things are happening in that sense. And so what's available on the board is blocked, and this is what another thing I love is that when you play to the board, the second half of your turn is really all here local to your own tableau, and then other people can start taking their turns while you're going. And so newer plays, it's going to be a little long, but man, you get some people who know how to play. This game can play 4 players in under an hour, easy, if people know how to play.
When you're playing to your tableau, you get all your stuff done and then you look up and it's your turn again. So it's really quick.
Yeah, it can move really fast. And it's that, and it's not like, oh, I want to hurry up and rush through this game. That's not it at all. I love playing it. But it is kind of cool when you're just like, just go, go, go. Like, every single chance you have to do an action is available to you, because by the time you're finished, again, it's your turn again.
Not a lot of downtime, and really good decisions to make, and really fun gameplay, and
great pieces. Like it has really fun little oil barrels.
It has a nice look to it. And
yeah,
it was really engaging just from the beginning.
Love that game.
Yeah.
All right, number one.
What's your number one?
So my number one, which is I'm sure no surprise to her, is Scythe.
What's my number one?
Energy Empire.
Energy Empire.
Yeah, that was the one point I got right.
Yeah, I got 2 and he got 1. So I win.
She wins. Oh man.
That's exciting. I didn't think it would go that way.
Yeah. We're gonna do a different one, and I'm gonna win next time.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm gonna bask in my glory for a little bit.
So Energy Empire, we've discussed that. Is such a fantastic. And I do want to mention, I have not played the others in the series.
Oh yeah, no.
But I'm always more than happy to try a game, but those are not ones I've ever gone to seek out to play, because I know that they are a little bit more interactive than Energy Empire. So if you like very interactive games,
interactive with each other.
With player interaction, being able to kind of mess with other people's stuff. You might like the other ones in this
so it's the
chain better than
Manhattan
more.
Project, and then the Manhattan Project Energy Empire, which is the one we really like.
And then there's Manhattan Project 2, Minutes to Midnight, which is still in the same. It's a sequel of the original, the Manhattan Project, whereas Energy Empire, it sits alone in the same universe.
Yeah.
But Scythe,
he could go on for hours and days.
So go get your coffee. Love Scythe. Scythe is a game. It's one of my big Kickstarter regrets, in that I had just found out about Kickstarter by the time this was being discussed, the hype, and I was just being introduced to the media side, different vlogs and posts and Board Game Geek, and that kind of, I was starting to at that point be immersed into that world. Whereas up to then, I just word of mouth and casual meetups here and there is everything I'd ever heard about board gaming. And so, I heard all this hype. I didn't know what was going on with it. I didn't know to get on Kickstarter or anything. And my immediate reaction is, well, it can't be that good, right?
Yeah, kind of the cult of the new kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was just really hyped.
It was. And I didn't play it for nearly a year after it had launched. And then we went to a gaming convention, and I was introduced to it there. And when I first played it, this isn't what I thought it would be. It was definitely different. I had a good time playing it, but it planted a seed in my brain, and I just could not stop thinking about what I would do next time, the strategies, and how things unlocked, and progressively every action you took throughout the game got better and better. It just appealed to me so much, and I think over that course of that first probably 6 months, I didn't end up buying it for myself. I got it as a Christmas gift eventually, but I just couldn't stop obsessing. And the moment it was in my collection, I was pretty much okay saying, yep, number one.
Yeah.
And I've gone through, and not crazy over the top, but we've done some upgrades, upgraded the mat, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And I just adore that. It's very strategic. There's actually kind of, and this doesn't usually matter to me at all, storytelling elements, but the encounters that you can get with Scythe, where you move on to you get a little scenario that you get to play out with your character. Do I get to steal his mech, or do I get to take his dog, or do I get to help him? It's like these weird little scenarios. Beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Like the artwork is just gorgeous.
It is really pretty. I was expecting kind of a fighting game, and that's not part of it. I mean, it's part of it, but it's not a big part. It's kind of like the threat of combat is scarier than the combat itself, and it's got a really great, the combat is done really well, so it's not super detrimental if somebody fights you and you have to run home. So I was just expecting a much more fighty game, which is not the case at all. And I don't like combat games. I don't like anything that's like take that or fighty or anything like that, but this is a really good game, and even if you do have combat, it's not super detrimental. So I liked it.
similar feel. That was one of the things I noticed when I first played. Is like, wow, that when I said this isn't what I thought it would be, is because the combat was.
Yeah.
It was the threat of combat
Yeah.
that matters more so than the combat itself. And then to add to that is, generally speaking, in the game, combat is only so useful for any given faction. So you can't just continually have combat after combat. It just doesn't. It's not going to drive your strat like anything for you forward. I mean, obviously a little bit might, but not abundance of it. And so for that reason alone, there's just not that much of it because it's just not really that useful.
Yeah.
All right, so Lindsay won.
I did win.
2-1.
Two
So
to one.
you had guessed correctly on obviously Scythe. My number 1 was easy.
And Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico at number 3. Yeah. Okay. And I guessed correctly on your Energy Empire at number 1. All right. So what I thought your number 5 would be.
Okay.
7 Wonders.
I do like that game.
Yeah. I thought she liked it enough to be at number 5.
It's top 10 for sure. So I thought your number 5 was Roll for the Galaxy.
Okay, no, I do enjoy the game. I really do. It's my favorite of the Galaxy series. So Jump Drive and Race. I do prefer Roll above all of them, but it's not that high.
Okay,
Sorry.
it's okay.
All right, so I thought your number 4 was Great Western Trail.
That was my number 2.
Yeah. So I was just wrong in the order on that
Yeah.
one.
I thought your number 4 was Splendor.
Oh no, that's okay. I mean, I do play that a lot, and I
And it used to be his favorite game.
Yes, it was until Scythe. Actually, I think it was my number 1 until
was,
Scythe. But then it's just dropped over time. It's one that I love the simplicity of it, how easy it is to get it to the table, the introduction to new players, all that stuff is great. The chunky
The chips,
poker chips, yeah, those are great. I think for me, it's just been, I've kind of evolved into wanting a little more mix of mechanics within a single game. It's still when I play the
Still
app
great.
all the time.
It's still
Yeah.
bring it to the table and everybody has a great time. It's a really good gateway game just
Yeah.
to get people into it.
It's just not one that I crave to play as much anymore, maybe. But every time I play it, I love it.
Yeah.
So, okay, so what I thought your number 3 would be is Grand Austria Hotel.
I really like playing that game with you.
Oh.
And as 2-player games go, that's one of the best. But
I'm going to remember that for our top 5 2-player.
yeah, probably shouldn't have said that. But it's not one that I'm just like all the time want to play.
No, that totally makes sense, and I thought
But
that might be the case.
It's a good date night game.
It is, and I was going to mention that exactly. If you're looking for a heavier plays very, very well and best at 2-player, but not only does it play the best at 2-player, it's one of the best 2-player games, Grand Austria Hotel. You put a 3rd person in there and you've got yourself a good game.
Yeah.
You put a 4th person in there and I will go make dinner and take a shower before it's my turn again.
Yeah, it's a lot of downtime.
So I stick with 2. That's your best bet. It's unfortunate you had to pay for 2 other players worth of,
Good
components and stuff,
but
but
still.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, and then you thought my number 3 was
I got this right. It was Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. That's correct. Okay, so that's how she won. I thought your number 2 was Orleans,
Nope.
and that was your number 3, right?
That's my number 3.
Yeah, so that's why she started mentioning games that I had in the list further up and realized there's no way that I could catch up.
So my number 2 was Great Western Trail.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you thought
I thought your number 2 was Great Western Trail.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And then we got each other's number 1.
Number 1s,
So
yep. So,
there were a couple little things on there that weren't expecting, but
yeah.
still a fun game.
In retrospective, looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, I shouldn't have put that game.
Yeah. I don't know.
I still think 7 Wonders was legitimate number 5. But
Yeah, I thought Splendor was going to be on there, so anyway, it was still fun. Yeah.
So, all right, well, there's our top 5. She wins, I lose. We're going to try and come back with another topic at a later video. If you have any comments or suggestions for top 5s you'd like to see us put together like this, please let us know. And we'll see you next time.
Oh, thanks.